Whenever someone calls you, the screen looks like this. Pretty boring, right? Well, with OneUI 5, each contact can have its own individual call background, featuring an embarrassing video you recorded of them or a cheesy dance from an AR emoji that looks just like them. No matter what it is, you'll always be able to tell who's calling you, even if your phone is on the other side of the room. Is your home screen getting cluttered with a ton of your favorite widgets? You can start stacking them just like a folder. That's right, with OneUI 5, you can now combine several widgets of the same size into a single one by simply long pressing them and dragging them on top of each other. Then you can swipe right or left to find the one you're looking for. And later on, you can edit the stack by removing the widgets that you don't use anymore and even have them auto-rotate. Pretty sick. Now just to be clear, stackable widgets were already possible with OneUI 4.1, but they were limited to just 3 sizes. Now, it doesn't matter how big or small the widgets are. If they're the same size, you can start stacking. And that's just the tip of the iceberg when it comes to Samsung's biggest update yet, OneUI 5 running Android 13. It's what we've all been waiting for, and it's finally here. Kind of. I mean, it's still in its beta phase, only the latest Galaxy S22 phones can install it, and some of the features explained in the changelog aren't live yet. Still, I'm sure you're stoked to learn what's new, and let me tell you, there are a ton of new features. Also, in celebration of this long-anticipated update, I just dropped 7 new beautiful widgets to help you spice up that Samsung home screen. They all follow the Material You theme and adapt to the colors of the wallpaper. There are different types of clocks, search bars, weathers, and a music player that expands when you tap it. Only on my Patreon, plus for that cherry on top, you'll get these new beautiful wallpapers as well. Anyways, on the topic of Material You, OneUI 5 has further improved its presence. Just like the Google Pixels, you have many more color palette choices for any wallpaper you set. Before, you can only choose 4, but now you'll have up to 16 choices. Kind of overkill, but I'm sure someone will cream their pants over this. On top of that, the modded theming is a lot more powerful, meaning the background within most Samsung or system apps has a stronger colored tone. Some icons within the notifications follow the chosen colored theme, and even some text like the headlines within the settings has the same exact colors. This stronger presence of a colored theme is definitely welcomed in my book. And since I mentioned the notifications, yes, they've also been modified. The app's icons are much bigger and separated off to the side within their own section, and I honestly dig it, because it's so much easier to spot the different types of notifications. Unfortunately, the music player is still the same, which is a bummer because it looks almost exactly like the other notifications, nothing to really make it stand out aside from the music controls. But what also got changed are the notification settings. There are a few more options for customizing an app's incoming notification. For example, you can now choose the notification types individually. So if I like Twitter to show its notifications within the lock screen, but not have it pop up with any banners or have a badge within its icon, I can easily do that. Before, you can only modify the notification content by having them be detailed or just brief. If you're a huge multitasker, you probably use the split screen mode on a regular basis, especially if you have a large phone like the S22 Ultra. Well, with OneUI 5, you can open apps into split screen much more easily by simply opening the recents page and dragging one of them to the top or bottom. This is why I love Samsung, because they think about all the small things. On top of that, apps that are open in split screen can now be made full screen, letting you hide the status bar and navigation bar. That way you get a bit more screen real estate. When you want to peek at those hidden bars, you simply swipe inward with 2 fingers from any side of the screen. No more distractions. When snapping a screenshot, you now get a bigger preview of what you captured before it shrinks back down to a circle. Plus, there's a new button with a T on it to let you extract any text from the photo. Pretty cool. The same button can be found within the Gallery app, and it's also tucked away in the Samsung keyboard. But it does function a bit differently there. Instead of extracting text on the screen, it'll bring up the camera and let you extract text from the real world. It's a feature that iPhones have had for a while, and I love that Samsung has brought it to their phones. I also love that Samsung borrowed Google's panlingual feature, which lets you change each app's language individually. So if I like the Google app to be in French, while the Clock app to be in Spanish, and have everything else be in English, OneUI 5 lets me do that. It's a really cool feature, but as of now it's extremely limited, so it only works on a few apps, and it doesn't support a ton of languages. Here's a fun one. In the accessibility settings, there's a new magnifier feature that lets you turn your phone into a magnifying glass. So with the back camera, you can enlarge items in the real world and it works really well. I'm sure tons of people will find a use for this, not just those with visual impairments. There are also a few new accessibility features that you probably don't care about. They've improved the Braille displays feature, provided better voice feedback for those who have trouble seeing the phone, and a few other changes. If you're really interested to see all the accessibility changes, 9to5 Google posted the entire OneUI 5 changelog on their page so you can learn more. That link will be right below the like button. A small change that can come in handy to some is that the Edge panels now allows you to show the app names for your favorite apps. And the permission dialogues now look just like the ones that Google used for the Pixels running Android 13. Not a bad move. The settings also didn't get anything huge, aside from a few menus getting moved around. For example, the Connected Devices menu has been added to the top of the settings. This makes it easier to access certain features that work with your other devices. The Digital Wellbeing menu has been redesigned with some menus like the Screen Time goal presenting its information right away instead of needing to open its menu. Plus, the Bedtime and Focus mode has been moved to Bixby routines. The settings also carry the new Security and Privacy menu that came with stock Android 13. It just lets me know if my phone has any security issues and helps me fix them. The Sound and Vibration menu has its menus completely reorganized. Some of the sliders got dunked into other menus, and a few sections have been merged with others. And finally, in the About Phone section, you can see a picture of the device that you're using just in case you forgot what phone you have. Thanks for the reminder, Samsung. Other than that, the system settings is still the same as before. Surprisingly, the camera received a major amount of changes as well. Apparently, if you take a picture of an item that carries information like a phone number or address or a link, the Samsung camera will now bring up recommendations. For example, if you take a picture of a sign with a phone number on it, then it'll let you call the number. Or if it's a link, then it'll let you visit the site without needing to type anything out. Pretty sweet. Another useful feature that I bet none of us thought we needed until now is that whenever you choose a camera mode, there is now a back button to let you go back to the regular photo mode. It's a complete lifesaver. On top of that, the zoom bar has been shortened so that you can zoom in or out with a single swipe. No more needing to do 2 swipes to reach to 100x zoom. This one surprised me. Apparently the Samsung camera never allowed you to plug a watermark within your photos until now. With the watermark, you can include your phone's name, the date and time, or just write out anything you like. And finally, the food mode, which I know we all love to use, now supports the telephoto lens. Before, you can only use the main lens and any zooming would be done digitally. Now let's talk about all the changes done to the Samsung apps. Starting with the keyboard, the bottom row where the spacebar is can be further customized, including removing the function keys or punctuation marks individually instead of all at once. Plus, you can choose to remove the email and web address inputs. Within the emoji section, you now have a new category for text expressions. So now you can shock others with your unique looking emojis. They even have more options than Gboard. You can now touch and hold the top buttons within the emoji section to rearrange them, throwing the ones that you use the least to the back. And when you create an AR emoji, the Samsung keyboard will automatically make 15 stickers instead of just 7. Stories within the Gallery app now automatically open into full screen as a slideshow view. Plus, you can tap or swipe to move between photos or videos found within the story. Before, you couldn't do that. For the clock, you can apparently start a new timer even if another is still running. I couldn't get it to work though, but it does say it within the official changelog. I guess I'll need to wait for a future clock update. The calendar also received a minor change that's really useful. You can add a sticker to an event to recognize it a lot easier when looking at it from the months view. When editing photos, there are a few new features as well. The lasso tool, for example, now lets you crop an image into a shape, maybe a little heart for your sweetheart. Then you can outline the edges in any color you'd like. You can also create a custom reusable sticker from any picture in your gallery. Lets you get creative with it. And when editing a GIF, you can even trim it instead of just removing individual frames, or even freely crop it into any aspect ratio you'd like. We're almost there, I promise. In the AR Zone app, any stickers you create will now have a transparent background to fit better with any photos you use. If you like to surprise your friend with something cool, you can create a sticker with 2 different AR emojis, one that looks like your friend and one that looks just like you. You can change their expressions or give each one an action. You can even change the background with a unique preset or a picture from your gallery. The My Files app has once again updated its search functionality to make it more powerful. For example, you can now search exclusively inside a folder instead of the entire system. And results that pop up can now be sorted in any way you'd like, including name, date, etc. What's even more mind-blowing is the search bar will even dig deeper and look for the keyword in places that you may not even think of, like text in some documents you wrote, or location information from images. Pretty impressive. If you're a die-hard fan of Bixby, you'll be happy to hear that some commands can now be used offline. You just need to enable on-device mode within Bixby settings to be able to do basic things like asking it to turn on the Bluetooth, or open the camera app, even if you're on airplane mode. Bixby Routines has a redesigned layout with all of its options condensed into menus, making it easier to find a routine instead of looking through a giant list. But honestly, I did enjoy the artistic stickers that they had on the side. It gave the app a more welcoming feel. Now it's more conventional and basic with just text and menus. Samsung also removed the Add Routine tab and just included a plus icon at the top, which I honestly prefer. And functionality wise, there's more automation, like when it's bedtime, you can have it turn on Do Not Disturb mode or change other settings. Plus, within the My Routines tab, you can now see what routines are currently running, whereas before, you were left in the dark. And lastly, Samsung DeX has received a plethora of updates. For example, it now has a universal search button within the taskbar, which works just like the one found within the launcher. So you can search for apps, settings, files, contacts, etc. You can also add your favorite apps to the taskbar and remove any buttons that you don't need, like the language, navigation buttons, and more. Another helpful feature is that you can also right-click on the apps to access their shortcuts. And apparently, there's supposed to be a mini calendar that pops up when you click on the date within the taskbar, but as of now, that doesn't seem to be working. Still, a lot of beautiful changes for those who like to use Samsung DeX, and a lot of beautiful changes in general that are only exclusive to Samsung phones running OneUI 5. Of course, you also get the basic Android 13 changes as well, like notification permissions, the option to press the side key 5 times to call emergency services, and you can add more accessibility options to the quick panel. Those are all the significant changes found within OneUI 5. There are only a few things that Samsung announced within their changelog that didn't seem to be working yet, but overall, I did enjoy this update. Samsung still isn't steering away from its design language, and I think most of us don't want them to. They just threw in a handful of new features scattered throughout the UI and most of their apps, while also tweaking a few of its interfaces. Surprisingly, this update feels pretty stable too. Of course, you'll still find a few bugs if you install it, but overall, everything feels smooth, rarely does anything crash, and the majority of my apps still work just fine. If you want to try it out for yourself, you'll need to check the Samsung's Members app and look through the banners to see if OneUI 5 is there to update to, although it may say that the maximum number of participants has been reached. And in that case, you can manually update it by sideloading the appropriate OneUI file for your Galaxy S22 device, but just a heads up, that way is a bit more riskier, and I take no fault in your phone getting damaged or bricked. Still, if you think you can handle it, I'll drop a link to an XDA tutorial. Either way, that's it for this review. I hope you enjoyed it. If you learned something new, a quick thumbs up would really go a long way to help this video get recommended to others. On top of that, why not get subscribed with the notification bell turned on? I promise quality videos like this are released every week on the channel, and you're not going to want to miss out. Also, make sure to check out my Patreon page for those exclusive new widgets and wallpapers. And make sure to check out my last video where I talked about the Pixel 7. Anyways, I'll catch you guys in the next one. Kapow!